Alex Brown, how you doing today, man?
What's going on, brother?
Man, I was sitting there watching the NBA Finals last night.
Is that right?
LeBron is amazing.
Of course he is. He's always been amazing.
Who cares about Golden State? LeBron is amazing.
He's the man.
You know, I'm a Wizards fan, but you got to recognize greatness when you see it.
Real recognize.
And Steph Curry's all right. You know, he's shooting up alley-oops and he's shooting up. He just shoot the ball up in the air and just fall in the basket.
It don't matter what he do, but I mean,
that's playground stuff, man.
That's it.
That's playground stuff. But look, we have a great show today.
All right.
We got gospel artist Brian Spriggs.
Okay.
We have the legendary Mike McCoy.
Mr. McCoy himself.
He is around. He is in the building.
Okay. All right, Mr. McCoy.
And then we have an advocate for deadbeat dads, Brother Wendell Jordan is here today.
Wendell Jordan, that's it.
It's going to be a really, really great show. But before we go to that, let's go to a song by Brian Spriggs in New Worship entitled "Lead Me to the Rock."
All right.
You are my dwelling place. Oh Lord, you are a shelter for me, my strong tower from the enemy. Oh Lord, you cover me in the covert of thy wings. Forever I will trust and abide in you. I will always trust and abide in you. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I, higher than I. Oh Lord, you are.
Welcome back to Real Talk. I am here. Well, first of all, you just heard a great song by Brian Spriggs in New Worship called Lead Me to the Rock, written by Sister Kendall King, evangelist Kendall King. I am here with Brother Wendell Jordan, who is an advocate. And he's an advocate. I don't know how to describe it. You're fighting for the court system to be fair with fathers.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then you brought this shirt here and then bring me one.
Right. Well, you know,
black dads are dope.
Well, I mean, we all are. You know,
Well,
what we want to do is actually kind of change the narrative that's out there. And so the name of the film that I'm working on is called Beat Dead Dads, and that's actually by design. It's actually in reverse because we usually hear about deadbeat dads.
Right.
And so what we're trying to do is change the vernacular, because when we talk about how fathers are publicized and how fathers are talked about, they're usually talked about with some kind of negative connotation. Either they're ignorant to knowing what their kids are even doing. They only, provide for their children blindly and kind of, hand off the money and then,
keep it moving.
Absolutely.
Right.
So what we're looking at is helping fathers navigate a system that doesn't value them in the same way that it does moms.
Let's talk about the court system and dads. There's two sides. There's the actual deadbeat dad, the one that is negating his responsibility to his children.
Does nothing.
Right. And then there's the dad who is doing what he can do, but the mom takes him to court anyway to get more.
Absolutely.
And the court tends to side more with the mom.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me why?
Every time, 9 out of 10 times.
Well, what we're dealing with is a situation that's known as maternal preference. So maternal preference obviously means preference of the mother. And so essentially what we're looking at is the biology there. And so initially why that was a factor was because that moms obviously at the earlier stages of a child's life, the child biologically needs the mom to suckle.
Right.
So in terms of those specific needs, we don't look at that as a time that the father is needed, even though nurturing and closeness and all of those things factor in with our children. Society has chosen to believe that the mom is the most important part of that. And so in terms of the court system, they don't necessarily see dads in the same way that they do moms. So emotional connections aren't pinpointed as important when it comes to the fathers. So typically when we're looking at low-income minority dads, the issue is that we're dealing with a provider-dependent system. And so the provider-dependent system means that whoever is in the dependent side of things gets to then go and attack that provider. And so that's essentially how the system is set up. And so we're dealing with a court system where you also don't have 12 jurors. You only have one judge. And so that judge is typically the one who comes out with the decision on who gets kids, or who actually gets the children, on how things are divvied up in terms of the finances and what the responsibilities are.
Tell us, what's the inspiration behind the film?
Well, I myself obviously am a father.
Okay.
And so there was a point where I had moved away for a time. And so while my son was growing up, I was actually in New York. And I moved back. And so during that time when I moved back, you're kind of jostling for position to find out where you're actually going to be in your child's life.
Okay.
And so my son got to spend a summer with me. And he was totally thrilled at the opportunity to spend some time.
Right.
And so he asked me, Dad, is it possible to share equal time? Can I have 2 weeks with you and 2 weeks with my mom? And, of course, I jumped at the chance.
Right.
But, of course, I had to talk to my new wife first. And so I said, absolutely, son, let's just have a conversation. And so I talked to my wife. She said, absolutely. And then we went to talk to his mom, and she said no. And so seeing that I had never been abusive with my son, seeing that there had never been a situation where I had done anything criminal or negligent or had any issues, why would it then be that his mother would then deny me the time with my son? And so first I started to go the court route. And so what I noticed was when I went there, there was a lack of father-friendly environments in the court system. And so just even getting the information that I needed was a kind of brutal journey. And in terms of that, you have attorneys who essentially want you to get a retainer that costs you $2,500. Sure. And so if you're a low-income dad, that obviously, you know what I mean?
That's a whole month money,
you know
right?
what I mean?
Right.
So that obviously also takes away from the potential that you have to kind of give to your child. And so what I started to then do was think about the system and how it shaped up. And so part of why it was so easy for her to do that was because she was receiving funds from me for the system. And so if I then got halftime with my son, that then meant that I no longer had to pay child support.
That's right. That's right.
So then the system,
there it is.
the way that the system is set up means that if certain people want to utilize it a particular way, meaning I sometimes say weaponize the system. Weaponizing the system means that you can then point that dog at somebody and then say sick 'em. So essentially what we're looking at is a system that if a mom chooses, she can then go, hey, for any particular reason, she can decide, even if you've been there for your child, if she's frustrated with you at the moment, she can put you on quote-unquote papers. And if she puts you on quote-unquote papers, then that means the court is now coming after you, not just being bad-mouthed by her or any other situation like that. And so I then started to do more and more research and came to find out that the divorce court system is a billion-dollar industry.
My God.
Sure.
And so billions of dollars obviously means that something gets lost in there. So we're dealing with the American justice system, and if justice is supposed to be for all, then it can't be for all if I can only get the justice that I can afford.
Right. Okay.
And so what I started to look at was then you kind of have to follow the money and see what essentially happens. And so we would look at cases where there was a film that was called Divorce Corpse. And so Divorce Corpse in terms of divorce corporation.
Right, right.
And so every time there's a court filing, there's money that goes from the attorneys to the court. And so if somebody files a document about you, you cannot not file back without the court then saying that initial filing is true. So if somebody files a filing, if I file a filing against you and you don't respond, that means that whatever I say is true.
That's right.
And so with that, there's a way that the paper then has to come back and forth and back and forth. And with every filing, there's more and more money going out of your pocket that could be going towards your child.
Sure.
And so one of the things that the film points out is that we're actually, if you are a parent who's going through the divorce courts system, then essentially you're paying for your attorney's children to go to college. And you're no longer able to foot the bill for your own child to go to school. And so what that then had me do was look at the lower end of the spectrum. Typically, minorities don't earn as much money. So if you're on the end where you don't have that, and you can't approach an attorney, where are you then? In the sense that you no longer have any avenue to find a pathway to your child. And so the point of my documentary or my film, because I actually was able to connect with some non-for-profits whose point it is to reconnect children with their fathers. So the Fatherless Generation Foundation I found in Atlanta. And it's run by Dr. Tori Evans Barton, who's a pretty amazing woman. Essentially, they reunite dads with their children or children with their dads, because the whole point is to have a balanced individual. So even if, let's say, your dad is not the brightest in the bunch, you then still have a choice in terms of what you can learn from your father. Because there is something that, your dad has, or that's a part of you that he can give you that you don't even know that you need, just by his presence. And so that's one of the things that I think that we overlook when it comes to fathers and how the system treats dads and undervalues them. So as I continue to kind of do more and more research, there was an attorney that I came in contact with. His name is Ronald Colbert. So Ronald Colbert actually operates out of Washington, D.C., and he was he is a divorce attorney who actually got custody of his own kids.
Okay.
And so when I started researching the film, you know how God works. He was one of the first attorneys that I spoke to.
Right.
Okay.
And so him having just received custody of his kids and me trying to find the information around how to navigate the court system so that I could then share it with other fathers, he then said, well, you know, I have 3 or 4 people that are in the same situation. I know, 4 colleagues that have just received custody of their kids, and I can absolutely help you with this. So how this thing then snowballs is that when you're dealing with a particular county, the laws vary per county, per state.
Per state, that's right.
And so what I'm trying to do with this particular film is deal with the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia area, not all counties, obviously.
Right.
But
We'll get there.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this. We have 2 minutes left.
Sure.
And you've offered. So you've said a lot of stuff. We need to bring you back. I'm sitting overwhelmed. I'm sitting just. I forgot I was on air for a minute. I just standing like, wow. So look, let's do this. The film is not done yet, right?
No.
You're still looking for funding.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Do you have a GoFundMe or anything?
Well, that's what I'm working on right now. I did actually have an Indiegogo campaign, but what we're going to do is relaunch our campaign. Okay. So hopefully what I'm trying to do is you guys have my my Instagram as my Facebook. So in the next week, what I'm going to do is relaunch, and then I'm absolutely going to have my website up, and then I will have the Indiegogo information and send it to you guys.
You need to hurry up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Get this done.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
and then come back.
Absolutely.
So we can help you raise this money.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for the information, man. This was awesome.
Absolutely.
I will
Such a
expect. Hold on. Is this T-shirt your design?
No, this is actually a company named Stoop and Stank, and I actually found them in Philly because I was working on a different film.
Hit them up.
Yeah, Stoop and Stank in Philadelphia.
I know you're black. We know that you're a black company. We need shirts. We need shirts.
So when I told her what I was doing, she said absolutely, and she made a promotion with my company so that we could then get discounts for the shirts for people who donate to the film.
Well, let's make it happen.
Absolutely.
I'll pay for my shirt. Stoop and Stank.
Yes.
Stoop and Stank.
Yeah.
I need it. That's 3 colors.
I can't forget that.
No.
Stoop and Stank. Thank you so much, brother.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Robert Person, for having him to come on, for suggesting that he come on the show. We'll be right back with the commercial about the Independent Gospel Artists Alliance Conference. Thank you so much. Man.
Absolutely.
So we'll just reschedule.
I'm Cheryl Green, and I live right here in Beltsville, Maryland, where the IGAA conference is being held, and it has been such a fulfilling and enriching and empowering experience. I just thank Phillip and Stephanie so much for hosting this, because I knew nothing about the industry other than just the songs that I released last November, and I learned so many things about ways I could have done things differently. I have new contacts, new avenues for success for my project, all kinds of website resources. I know people in the industry that are movers and shakers now, and it's just been such a enlightening experience. It's a little overwhelming, especially for a new artist like myself, but there is something for everyone here, whether you're a songwriter, a recording artist, a producer, manager, whatever it is, this is where you need to be to learn what you need to know. So it's been great. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Janine Payne, and I'm from Woodbridge, Virginia. And today is the last day of the IGAA conference, and I'm simply overwhelmed with information, the connections that I've made, but most importantly, to hear from industry experts. I never imagined that I was going to have as close connection with them. I had access to everyone from, of course, Phil Carter, Earl Bynum, and but not only that, from radio, television, distributors.
Richard K. Dawkins, and I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. And I've had the wonderful opportunity and privilege to be here at the IGAA conference this week. And let me tell you, if you've never come, you need to come. This is my second time, and every time I've come, I've walked away with a lot of information that has blown my mind, and I've been able to put some of it in practice, and it has helped me moving forward, and my music is doing well, and I thank God for everything that I've learned here. And this weekend, I'm going back with a lot of information that's going to help me take my career to the next level, and I'm so thankful to Phillip, Earl, and of course Stephanie for all that they've done in putting this conference together. It has truly been a blessing. Now, I encourage each and every one of you, put it on your schedule for next July. Come to the Independent Gospel Alliance Conference. You will not be disappointed.
Hey everybody, my name is Valda Lomax Parker from Beltsville, Maryland. This is my home church. Let me tell you something. If you are an independent gospel artist and you have not attended this conference, you're missing out. I'm telling you, you are missing out. Phenomenal. The adjectives are too vast for me to continuously say. I feel so blessed that I was afforded all the information that was disseminated to me today and yesterday and the day before.
Come on, I said make some noise in here tonight. The Bible says, oh, magnify the Lord with me.
That was a heavy interview, man. That was heavy. That was informational. We look forward to having Wendell back. I am here with a living legend. You know, there are other living legends. There's The Rock.
That mean I'm old. That's what that means.
Hulk Hogan. You know what I'm saying?
Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
You know, Milton Bigham, Kurt Franklin. You know, but none quite compare to my main man, Mike McCoy. He said he didn't know this was live, but this shirt says this shirt is live. Every time
I didn't know it was live.
Every time you see it.
Or something, you know, my brother had on a shirt, nice shirt.
Oh yeah.
Halfway clean.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right, man. Just been busy, you know, but I'm doing good.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. Really
it's been long overdue.
Well,
and
appreciate it.
Talk about early beginnings of Mike McCoy.
Wow. The early beginnings of Mike McCoy. I'm sure my brother shared some things.
Dropped a lot, man.
He shared a lot? He dropped a lot? Yeah, we were, you know, my father's a pastor. My father is no longer here. And, we grew up in a musical home. Actually, it was just my brother now, because my mother and my father didn't play. But my great grandmother was the minister of music of the church that we were in. My aunt played. Of course, I have my cousins, Phil, PJ. They all played, but I was the first one who initially started playing. That being said, then my brother started playing, and you know how now the student has become the teacher.
Right.
Yeah.
So now my brother is the teacher now.
Right.
I just sit back and relax. But yeah, you know, we grew up musical. My mother was pretty much on the strict end. My father, even though he was a pastor, he would let us listen to other music beside gospel.
Yeah.
You know, but my mom, she was like, "Oh no, y'all had to shut that down." You know, but I think that gave us a knowledge of wanting to find out this music thing and to become deeply involved in music. But this is something that we do, and it's a passion that I have. I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world.
At what age did you knew that you was doing something special?
I want to say it started making sense at 11. I remember my mother bought a little piano. It was this little. I was 3 years old. And you know how you just playing something, you don't know what you're doing. But around 11 years old, it started making sense. Interesting, I started playing at the church, I want to say probably at 12. And my mother, it was another young man there, an older gentleman. He was in the music, and his mother came to my mother and said, "You need to put them boys in some type of musical program because you know they have some musical ability." So we went from keyboards to playing in the drum corps and everything, and it was just music. And But 11 years old, if I can remember that far back. You know, I'm getting kind of old now. I don't remember.
You ain't that old, man.
Man,
but
funny.
11 years old was probably when it started making sense.
That's funny that you say that, because it's like I'm still in awe, because I keep hearing these stories about I started when I was 3 and I started when I was 4. Yeah, and it made sense to me when I was 11. I'm 45 and I'm still trying to see when it's going to start making sense.
Oh, dude, no, it's making sense. No, it's making sense. Trust me. I saw those hymns you be posting. It's making sense. It's making sense.
So let me ask you this. Let's move a little forward. When did you decide that you want to start a group?
That was interesting, because when I decided the group, it was probably in 1994. 1994 when I started the group. At that time, actually, my brother, he was probably more out there than I was. I was like in the halfway house.
Right.
I had like 1 foot in the church and 1 foot out the church. Even though I was playing for a lot of groups, my brother was pretty much doing stuff for everybody. But I started the group in 1994, and it was just a collection of singers and friends, people that I have been knowing for years. Well, I initially started out the wrong way. I did a public open to just everybody.
Oh, come on now.
And that wasn't really the right thing
Volunteers.
to do. Right, tell everybody to come on in. Man, I had this 2 years, no, a year and a half later, I shut it down and reorganized the group in 1996. So that was a lesson learned, a hard lesson, because, you know, you get anything, not just voices, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right.
No. You know, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, you get a lot of different type of personalities. You get a lot of different type of, and you know, I don't have anything against anybody, but you know, my own Christian belief, my own Christian values. There's a certain standard that I want to uphold.
Right.
And,
Sure.
I just didn't want any and every kind of spirit, you know, in the group. So I had to shut it down, and started 2 years later.
So tell some of us in the DMV area what your secret is to the United Voices great sound. You have been coined, and your choir has been coined as one of the greatest, choirs
Which one
in
is
the DMV. Now, hold on. My group celebrated 20 years last year, and I asked them, what did you want? I asked them, you know, who you want? They said unequivocally, Mike McCoy and the Voices United. And so that's why we had to have you there. And it was just, I was just looking at them and like they all had the same answer.
Man,
so you know, tell me, you know, you do have a unique sound. So tell me,
that's what I hear.
The secret to that.
I hear that from a lot of people, but I don't even know if there's a secret. I think. You know, well, actually, we have rehearsal in my house, so that could be one secret.
Are you feed?
We do feed.
Okay, that helps out.
They happy
that could be a secret, you know. I don't know. I just think, you know, I love Donald Lawrence. I love Richard Smallwood. I love the Hawkins. I love Andre Crouch. I love Milton Brunson. You know, I love that, and it just kind of infused what I guess I already had in the inside. And but you know, I remember one time I used to, you know, I had a couch in my basement, and so everybody was sitting on the couch, and I was like, oh no, y'all getting too comfortable, man. I got rid of my couch and got some fold-up chairs.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Sit on up.
I need to do that.
Man, y'all getting too comfortable, so I got rid of my couch. I know my wife thought I was crazy, but I got rid of the couch. Said, no, we gotta get some fold-up chairs. So maybe that was a secret, the fold-up chairs.
Yeah.
I don't, but I'm honored, man. I do hear that a lot, the sound. But I am grateful for Voices United. You know, people ask me, first they ask, one of the main questions they ask me, it seems like the face of your group never changes. And they say, what's the secret? And I said, I don't really know if there's a secret, but I will say I value their time as much as they value my time.
There you go.
And
I can tell you because it's the family. It's the family atmosphere that you promote. And I know you promote a family atmosphere. I can tell.
Absolutely, and we do fellowships together.
Yeah,
you know, we have a Christmas fellowship that we do. We try to do every year. We didn't do one this past year, but we're going to get around to it. It won't be Christmas, but it'll be some type of fellowship.
There you go.
And you know, sometimes after engagement, we all go out and eat. I think fellowship brings a certain closeness together. You know, and I think that somehow bring a sound together too. Just because we're close together, you kind of feed off each other, because once you get to know somebody, you become. You know their likes, or you know their dislikes, and you know their habits, and you know what I mean?
You get to know them intimately.
Absolutely, and I think that's probably one of the reasons that we have this sound or we have this type family type atmosphere. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
I think outside of Richard, you and I have a group where there are multiple persons in our group who do their own thing.
Absolutely.
And so I think that has something to do with it too. It's a seriousness when you bring that seriousness of craft to music, and and just realizing that every time you step on the stage, everybody's being represented.
Absolutely.
Not just me, but you are
Absolutely.
too.
You know, it's funny that you said that. When we went to Italy, we had a tour in Italy, and so I told Ronette and Robert sing with me. So I told them bring products that I was going to feature them in Italy. And some of the responses that I got was not from them, but from outside. When I shared that with them, well, why are you promoting them and it's Mike McCoy and Voices United? I said, well, because they're Mike McCoy and Voices United. That's
Absolutely.
number one. And number two is because we families.
Absolutely.
Why should I help endorse them and push them as what they sold out of all their CDs? We sold out all our CDs, and Robert sold out all his CDs.
That's a blessing.
I think there's not too many groups, and your group is like that too, that we really try to help each other and try to promote each other. Man, I'm grateful. I'm really grateful.
Talk about some of your musical heroes. You are, I think you're 9 or 10 years older than I am. So there's some people that you talk about that I actually go look up. Like I didn't know growing up. I didn't know anything about Benny Cummings, but you mentioned him a lot.
Yes.
Now I'm starting to research him. I saw Donald Lawrence do a post about him being in front of his church a while back. And I'm really starting to get some education.
Benny Cummings is one person that I really admired. I did get a chance to see him, but he was so before his time.
I gotta check him out.
He was doing a song like, check this song I call Sunshine, Spread a Little Sunshine. He was so before his time. So listen to people like Benny Cummings, listen to people like Thomas Whitfield.
Oh yeah, well,
that goes without saying.
Yeah.
And you know what? People like the Barrett sisters.
Oh God, yes.
I love them. Like the Davis. Again, we just grew up in this musical family.
Do you think that heritage is being passed down right now?
No.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And it's up to us to. And just earlier, Scott Moore was in here, and he had a show. And some of the younger musicians, like Brandon Macklin, was on here, and they were talking about how that the people younger than them are not even listening to them. Yeah. And here's Brandon, who's traveling all over the world right now on major stages. Yeah. You come home, and somebody who hasn't done 1/4 of what you've done thinks that you don't know what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Man, they don't know. We've really been in this thing for a long time.
Yeah.
More than they really
And
think.
we're not hard-headed and standoffish or anything like that. We do require some time, though. Sure. And I was young. I didn't want to be mentored. I didn't want to have to wait.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we are staunch advocates of being patient, building that foundation, and then going out.
Well, when I was coming up, man, you had to wait. It was there was nobody who was going to show you anything. You know how I learned peeping over somebody's shoulder. Listen, if I can just catch one chord, I'll be all right. But back then, you pretty much had to be patient. And we grew up in a Pentecostal holiness church, so it was always somebody that's going to play.
So in front of you.
And so you pretty much had to wait till they either died or they left before you got a chance to play. Right. But when you got a chance to play, they accepted you. And man, you had to know how to play in all keys, because they'll start singing something.
Right.
Yep.
Just out of random, just start singing Jesus, whatever,
Right.
There it is.
Absolutely.
You know what? I found something. It wasn't I wouldn't say it was humorous, but it was enlightening to me. I found some old Mike McCoy footage of you singing. Really singing. I'm talking about here it is. Sister Alice Hawkins' music and art seminar recording. Hey, that was the first recording of Joy in the Morning, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, and you up there singing, wipe the tears from your eyes. I think that's Mike. He's not passing the mic, he's doing this thing. So.
Well, I had back in high school, we had a group called, I went to McKinley. So we had a group.
Famous McKinley.
Famous McKinley. I had a group called the McKinley Specials. Okay. When we were at school, when we did gospel, it was the gospel special. And it was myself, Daniel Harrison, and my brother, and this guy named Tracy Lee. A lot of people don't know Tracy Lee.
Tracy Lee?
Tall Tracy Lee.
Yeah, he passed away some time ago. Yeah, I don't know Tracy Lee.
Great singer. And I used to do a lot of singing back then, but you know, man, now I just want to hear some of these other voices that can.
You just passed the mic. Yeah. Come on, Kurt.
Yeah, y'all go ahead and do it because they can do it, man.
So let me ask a question: Do you feel more comfortable behind the piano or on the mic?
Well, I'm gonna say I probably feel more comfortable behind the piano.
Okay.
But I'm gonna tell you where I feel most comfortable: directing.
And I see that.
More so than behind the piano, more so behind the mic. I feel comfortable more so directing.
So we got 2 minutes left. Let's talk about you made a new move recently.
Yeah, man.
And
a new but old.
It's new. It's a new but old move.
Coming home.
And you know, I think it's great that because most of the time when you get our age, nobody's gonna call you for a new position.
How about that?
You better stay where you at.
How about that? That's very true, sir. That's very true.
You probably thought I was going somewhere else, but that's where I'm going. But talk about the new move. You know, your transition back to Glenarden.
Wow. Well, you know, man, I was my family and I, we've been members for 15 years, and then you know I left to take another minister music position, and I mean I was happy, everything was great. I wasn't, you know, but then I received a call, you know, from pastor said, hey, look, will you consider coming back home? You know, and so that led to, you know.
Did he talk to you in a Jane Cleveland voice? Michael, this is Pastor. I need you to come to the organ.
One quite James Cleveland.
It wasn't quite James Cleveland,
but it was kind of, you know, it was a high pitch.
Yeah, right. I'm disguising it. You know what I mean? But for real, big shout out to Pastor John Jenkins.
Yeah, so you know, then Steve called, and then you know, we just kind of made it happen.
Made it work.
So, can you compare the two, your old situation versus the new one? In about 30 seconds.
Well, let me say this. When I left First Baptist, it was busy. Now that I'm back, it's extremely busy. It's even more busy. You know, but I mean, I love the church. I love being there. It is a challenge. It is, you know, trying to just maintain everything, to keep a hold tight on everything. But I love Bethlehem Baptist Church. They will always have my heart. But it's good to be back home too.
Right. Bethlehem's still looking.
They sure are.
They somebody out there's a great opportunity. Sure. Bethlehem Baptist, good church. I've been there.
Church.
I've been there a couple times. Great church to be at. Last but not least, you know, your brother came here on the show.
He said something.
Yeah, and you know, and he let us know that you were the older brother and that he was still young and, you know,
and vibrant.
Yeah, and that he was making plans. He's making sure he had your arrangements together. Just can't something happen. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, he is. I am older than my brother. Most people think that he's older, and I told him that's because he looks older. But now that I got this right here, which I think I need to shave it. So now this makes me look older, you know. But man, I am so honored. Thank you guys for having me and for having my brother, man.
Well, you two are living legends. Yeah, and I'm glad to know you. Likewise. I heard about you growing up, but now I know for myself that the McCoy family is just a special family. And of course, your nephew was in Children of the Gospel when I was over COTG years ago.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for
great things.
Yes, he is. He's still on the cruise ship.
He's still on the cruise ship.
Yeah, that's right.
He's still on the cruise ship doing his thing.
Give it up for Mike McCoy. We'll be right back. We're going to go to a song by Mike McCoy. Actually, one of my favorites. Sing "Praises to Thy Name."
Come on, I said, make some noise in here tonight. The Bible says, oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together, because he is worthy of all praise. We come to celebrate him tonight. So we invite you to join us in this praise. Come on, Zion, join us in this praise. Come on, everybody, put your hands together like this. Come on, here we go. Lord, I love you.
Lord, I love you.
I adore you.
I adore you.
Lord, you're worthy.
You're worthy to be praised.
I exalt you.
I exalt you.
I magnify you.
Magnify you.
I'll praise you all my days.
I'll praise you all my days.
Can we say that again? Come on, Lord, I love you.
Lord, I love you.
I adore you.
I adore you.
God, you're still worthy.
You're worthy to be praised. I exalt you.
I magnify you.
Magnify you.
I'll praise you all my days.
I'll praise you all my days.
Come on, Paul, let's tell him I will.
I will praise you, O Lord.
With my whole.
I will
I will show forth I love you.
Lord, I love you. I adore you. You're worthy to be praised. I exalt you, magnify you. I praise you all my days. I will praise you, oh Lord, with my whole heart. I will show forth thy marvelous works. I'll be glad and rejoice. I sing praises to thy name, O God Most High. Join me in the praises to thy name, O God Most High. Praises to thy name, O God Most High. Sing praises, yes, I'll sing praises. Praises to thy name, O God Most High. Sing praises, yes, I'll sing praises. Praises to thy name, O God Most High. I'll sing praises, yes, I'll sing praises. Praises to thy name, O God Most High. I'll sing praises, yes, I'll sing praises. Praises to thy name, O God Most High. I'll sing praises, yes, I'll sing praises. Praises to thy name, O God Most High.
Come on, everybody, clap those hands. Come on.
Praises to thy name, O God Most High.
Come on, do you feel it? Come on, come on.
Praises to thy name, O God Most High. Praises to thy name, O God Most High.
Join me.
In the
Come on, praise it to
praises to thy name, O God Most High.
everybody. Come on.
Praises to thy name, O God Most High. Praises to thy name, O God Most High. Praises to thy name, O God Most
That's a favorite in the DMV. But I'm here with another living legend, Brian Spriggs, who has been in this area he's born and raised in the DC area, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting me.
How long have you been doing gospel music?
Well, to remember, probably like 4 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old.
So you started singing at 3 and 4? You just
Yes. My parents. And
talk
my
about your
uncle.
parents.
Well, my parents. I come from a musically inclined family. My mom could sing, my father could sing, my brothers and my sister could sing. So we all sing. My father plays. He plays, I think, every instrument. My oldest brother played piano, organ. I think he played a little guitar. My youngest brother, the same. Me and my sister just sing. So they wouldn't teach me how to
How to play.
Me how to play.
Do y'all still get together and do stuff?
No, I wish we did. But no, we don't.
It ain't too late.
We haven't sang together. Since I was like maybe about 10 or 11.
Is everybody in the DC area?
Everybody's here.
Oh shoot, we ought to have a
go.
Spriggs reunion.
Probably no.
Nah, man.
They probably don't know, but yeah. But yeah, we've been doing it all my life.
Is everybody still in church?
Everybody's still in church.
Wow.
Everybody's still in church.
So what does your brothers play at, if you don't mind me asking?
My oldest brother played in Salisbury, some
Okay.
church in Salisbury.
Okay.
My youngest brother, he plays, he do a lot of playing at Way of the Cross. Bishop Brooks. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So let's talk about your career. You started singing and playing at 3 and 4. When did you start to get really serious about it?
At the age of 15. I started, well, I've always been a person where I could hear like notes and all of that really good.
Right.
Because I pretty much led, even though I'm not the youngest, but even though I led our family group, most of the time put everybody on their pitch and everything, I really, really got serious probably, at the age of 15, where I started directing in my uncle's church. Where it's a Way Across Church.
Right.
And from there, it just kept escalating.
How did New Worship get started?
New Worship got started actually from my youngest brother was in a competition, Mr. Way Across competition.
Way Across getting props in here today.
Way Across
competition, and they were raising money. I think we were raising money for a building fund or something like that. So my brother, he ran for Mr. Way Across, so I helped him raise money so he could win. I think he won too. But so I formed a big choir, and we sang. We did a big concert and raised a lot of money. And after that, people start asking me, Brian, are you gonna start a group? Are you gonna start a choir? And I was like, no, because I was like traveling. Traveling. I've sang with like a ton of artists.
Wow.
Traveling across the world, singing with a lot of artists, and then I think when I came back home, because I had moved to New York to go to school, then I came back home, and once I came back home, a lot of people were asking me, Brian, why don't you start a choir? Why don't you start a choir? So I eventually started.
Did those folks help you start it, or they just had...
Actually, they did. When I first started, we were called Brian Spriggs in Worship, and we were about like 75 strong.
Wow.
75.
You had a choir.
Yeah, I had a choir when it first started. We were about 75 strong. And then I'm like a low tolerance for foolishness.
Right.
So I started
There you go. Shopping.
Yes. It's time for you to go. It's time for you to go. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your service.
You know,
We can't
and
pay
it
you,
just,
but-
and then it went down to like maybe like 20. We stayed 20 strong for a good while. Then it started going down. And then I went to, one time I went to 3 members. It was a soprano, alto, and a tenor. And we still carried it. I had Lawrence
God
Smith,
bless him.
and Nikki Sumner, which were my 2 original members. They just passed two years ago. Then we went back up to like 15. Then we went down to 7.
It happens.
Yeah, so it was like up and down, up and down. So now we're, see how many people we have? About 15 now. About 15.
Your group is how old? They're older than mine.
25 years.
25 years
We're
old.
celebrating. It'll be 25 years June the 14th.
It's a blessing.
Yeah. Let's talk about the anniversary concert coming up.
Anniversary coming up is going to be on June the 30th of this year. It's going to be at Greater St. John Cathedral in Upper Marlboro off of Old Marlboro Pike. So it started at 3 o'clock. We have our lineup. We have Mike McCoy, who was just in here.
Right.
We have Keith Pringle, Craig Hayes, Naja Scott.
It's going to be good.
From Baltimore. And my special guest, our special guest, is Kevin Livingston and Holly Carlin from Atlanta, Georgia.
Premier choir.
Premier choir.
And you still sing with Mike McCoy. You
still
still
sing.
serving?
I'm still serving, yeah.
How do you balance the 2 schedules? Because
we very, very seldom sing at the same time. So we're not We're not doing
not a
a lot.
conflict.
Not a conflict.
Right.
And if it was, most time I'll just cancel my concert and go with Mike.
You're a nice guy. You're a nice guy. I told Phil you was. He didn't believe me.
Mike McCoy, that's my.
Hey, he's my dude too. Stay right here. We'll be right back. We're going to a small commercial, and we're going to be back with Brian and Mike McCoy. And voila, just like that, Mike McCoy has shown up.
How about that?
Come on, you know what I mean?
I'm back.
I mean, God can do anything. Mike, you're here with Brian, and we thank both of y'all for coming on the show.
Thanks
really
for having
appreciate
us,
it.
man.
Mike, talk about Brian. I mean, you've known him longer than
I've been
I
knowing
have.
Brian for a minute. Brian, first of all, Brian is crazy. If anybody knows Brian, he's crazy, and he'll say anything out of his mouth. But Brian has the heart of gold, though, and I say that from my heart. I love Brian as my brother, and I love his group. I'm so proud of him and what his group is doing and their new project and everything. I'm probably Brian's #1 fan. I try to really encourage him to just keep on, even during the struggle times. But I'm proud of Brian. He's a good guy. He all right.
But he, Brian, we really haven't touched on it, but Brian's more than one skill because, he graciously invited me to come do a workshop for him just only to find out that he caters too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Caters, he makes hats.
What? You make hats?
Yeah. You know the way to cross, the church hats for the mothers.
Mr. Way to cross. You make hats?
I do.
How do you make? I want to ask, how do you make a hat? Like the mother's hat.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you do that?
You have to mold
Okay,
and shape
I got you.
and put together.
When did you start doing it?
I've been doing that for like maybe about 10 years.
You know, when you come out and wear the
Like
cross,
off and on.
they wear the church hats.
How come you don't advertise that? Because I think you
I
could.
do.
I mean,
It's advertised.
okay, I'm about to say because that is huge.
Like Facebook page.
I may get you to make my wife a hat because she very rarely wears hats, but I'm about to make her holy.
You think she'll wear one? You think she'll wear one?
Holiness is right.
You gotta show me one that she's already worn, and I
don't know if she's ever worn it.
okay.
Don't feel bad because mine is not wearing one.
Well,
She had it like this. Are they talking about me? Yeah. So, you're gonna be on his concert.
Yes, we're going to be on Brian's
How
concert.
often do y'all get to sing together like this?
Christmas time.
Yeah, Christmas time for
Christmas
his
Christmas
Saint
benefit.
Jude. At the Saint
Yeah.
Jude.
No.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. The Christmas
Yeah,
concert.
Christmas,
Yeah,
Christmas
Christmas
concert.
benefit.
Yes.
But Brian sings with me too.
Right.
So Brian does sing with me, and but it's an honor to be on Brian's group. When I say I am really, really proud of Brian, I'm really, really proud of Brian.
Right. And we need to talk about this concert again. It's June the
30th.
June the 30th.
3 p.m.
At Greater St. John
Greater
Cathedral,
St.
Old Marlboro Pike, Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Tickets are how much?
25.
How can people
All
get
seats
tickets?
25. Go to Eventbrite.
So you mean there's no special seats?
No special seats. There are going to be some special seats. But there are no special seats.
I got you. Under the discretion of the Holy Ghost.
I have to have the Holy Ghost lead me into who sent where. But there are going to be some.
Well, I know your supporters and friends and well wishers are coming to help y'all celebrate 25 years. That is no game when you start talking about having a group. All three of us had groups.
Absolutely.
And I'm telling you, in 20 years, I've only have one original member left. So I'm not sure how many you have left.
I probably have about 10.
Good gracious!
Yeah, I probably have about 10. Yeah,
that's a blessing.
Wow!
10 original
Wow!
members
Yeah, I only have one left. And do you have any left? Any
I
original?
don't.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Right. And Lawrence was a great guy, man.
Yes,
He really was
Elder
a
Lawrence.
great guy, and a great community person,
Yes.
very humanitarian.
Yes.
A lot of stuff. Yeah,
The singer just
the shout be over. The shout be over.
I have no recordings of him doing that. None. We've been trying to find them, but I have no recordings. Because we wanted to do one on the 30th, and I am not sad.
Yeah. Speaking of folks who passed away, I believe I have the only recording of Reynard when we did that trio on and I was so glad after that
we miss him
Yeah.
dearly.
Absolutely.
We miss him dearly. Of course, his wife sing with us, and sometimes in rehearsal we'll have a moment, but it's good. He's doing. He's well.
He's where he needs to be.
In the home of Jesus, so,
he's where he needs to be. Last but not least, let's talk about advice for young choir directors, musicians. I tend to ask every musical guest that, and I'm sure you have seen a lot of what I've seen, but you may have a different angle. Let's talk, Brian, to the millennials right now.
I'll just say, learn your craft. Learn your craft, and make sure you know what you're doing. Learn your craft.
Okay.
One thing I just want to say is, what I want them to do is, when people have given you a time clock,
you preaching good now. Come on,
honor that time clock. You don't have to try to prove anything to anybody. If you have 10 minutes, do 10 minutes, and don't try to push the Holy Ghost to come. Just get off the stage. But if it comes, let it come. Let it be the Holy Ghost, but not you trying to push it. But that's probably the only advice I can give right now.
I do have a question. Just being as though most of us are pretty much will be considered traditional now. We used to be contemporary, but now most of us are traditional. What do you think is lacking in today's music in gospel?
Substance.
Yes.
Okay.
Substance. Lyrical substance.
Yeah. But it's coming back though.
Yeah.
And I don't think it ever really left. It's just radio has influenced a certain style.
I agree.
I
totally agree with that.
There are a lot of great songs that are out there right now.
I totally agree with that.
Thank you to the both of y'all for coming on this show. I do need to mention. Oh man, it's my pleasure, absolutely, for your time. I do want to mention next Monday we got the Jazzpiration concert.
Absolutely.
A night with 3 legends at the Queen's Chapel.
Living legend.
Yes, living legend. Alan Johnson, Tony Walker, and Mark Walker. You can go to www.buygospel.com to get your tickets. I want to remind you again, June 30th, go to Eventbrite to buy your tickets to Brian Spriggs and New Worship anniversary, and Kevin Lemons and Hiram Collins will be there. And I don't believe
I've never been in this area.
We've got you. They are awesome. One of the best in the country.
Yes.
And we don't want to forget June 25th, the DMV Musicians and Singers Banquet. We're honoring 10 more people, and we're going to honor people until we die, because that's how long it's going to take. But just come on out and join us. You can get tickets on www.buygospel.com. Thank you to producer Lionel Green and my wife Stephanie Carter. Thank you, Alex Brown. This has been a wonderful show. Stay tuned for next week. God bless you and have a great, great week.
Peace.
For more information on how to become a guest on Real Talk with Phillip Carter, or for general inquiries, please email us at realtalkwithphillipcarter@yahoo.com. Tune in next Monday for another edition of Real Talk